everybody, I'm Dawn Gelderloos. I'm a program leader for ICAN's Defining Leadership series and their custom leadership development programming, and I'm also a leadership development coach. In my home state of Colorado, I get to work as a volunteer firefighter and an emergency first responder, and I wanted to take a few moments to talk with you about how we're leading through times of uncertainty and how we can calm the anxious brain. I can tell you as a first responder, I know all too well the surge of adrenaline that comes through a crisis, whether it's a medical call or a fire call. And we learn how to assess a situation, to problem solve, focus, and work as a team. And while this heightened response is really important in an emergency situation, it's also equally important that we learn how to calm the anxious brain so that we can focus on the task at hand. You know, during the last few weeks, we've all been filled with uncertainty. This global pandemic is literally changing the way we live our lives. And it's actually had us in overdrive. That brain of ours has not been calm, but it's actually been anxious and it's been working overtime. At ICAN, we teach neuroscience in some of our leadership development programs. And what we really look at is how do we handle things under stress? You know, how does it impact our ability to think? How does it impact to reason and to lead others? How do we then calm that anxious brain in times of stress? Let's talk for a minute about the anatomy or the nature and anatomy of fear. You know, when we are fearful, we're usually worried about something that's happening outside of ourselves, external forces. And one of the things that we can begin to focus in on is our internal response. We cannot control the situation outside of ourselves, but we certainly can control our internal reaction to what's happening externally to us. So let's talk about 4 strategies. Strategy number 1, be here now. That has to do with presence and mindfulness. One of the things we know about our brains is that we can actually relax that stress response by being present. It can begin to calm the nervous system, and that can actually help us to take in new information more effectively. Strategy number 2, communicate through a crisis. You know, after 9/11, there was a study that came out that employees described how important it was that their leaders reached out and talked to them and spoke with them and communicated with them after that crisis. So how can you personalize your methods of communication and communicate in the style that works for your coworkers, for your direct reports, for your colleagues, for your family members? Strategy number 3, having a positive mental attitude. Now, we've all heard this before, right? But this doesn't mean if we have a positive attitude and we think good thoughts that everything's going to be okay. In any crisis, there's going to be a time when we are weary, we get worn out, and we're exhausted. And we know that exhaustion can cause apathy. Apathy can cause discouragement, and discouragement can cause a loss of hope. So it's our job as leaders to maintain a positive mental attitude for ourselves and for others. Okay, strategy number 4, investing in others. You know, this global pandemic has opened up lots of opportunities for us to reach out and help others. And what we know about neuroscience is that when we help others, it actually calms the anxious brain and it gets us out of that fearful, worried response that we have. So as leaders, we have an opportunity to do lots of things. But the 4 strategies that I just spoke to you about have a lot to do with how we want to be. So as we think about our leadership, think about how you want to be during this time of crisis. How do we calm the anxious brain? Can you be a leader who listens? Can you be a leader who is present, who is transparent, who is kind and compassionate, and who is understanding? And when we can be leaders with these qualities, it can change everything. You know, there's a quote that I heard recently that I really liked. It said, "Fear only has the power we give it. Hope works the same way." So thank you for being here now. And please know that all of us and ICAN are right here with you. And we ask you to be healthy and be safe.